or car, check out valuechevy.com or go to Courtesy Chevrolet in Phoenix today. And today, partly cloudy skies with that high only reaching 67 degrees. Tonight, cold with a low of 36. Right now, it's 36 degrees in Surprise. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. I'm Patricia Valencia on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Strong values and strong opinions. The Mike Broomhead Show, KTAR News, 92.3 FM, and the KTAR News app.
All right. Thank you for being here. Joining us in studio, Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You bet, Mike. It's great to be here.
I don't know if it's ever a good thing for you or a bad thing for you to find out that you've been on cable news. I'm not sure if you're happy about that or not.
All news is good news? I don't know.
Your presser yesterday about the 14th Amendment, and there was more involved than just the 14th Amendment. I want to start there, but then I want you to hear some comments this morning from the border czar in response to some of the things you said about concentration camps and things of that nature. But I want to start with this 14th Amendment conversation. Is it that you don't believe that the president can arbitrarily do this, or you think that his ideology and what the 14th Amendment says is wrong, or both?
Well, no, fundamentally, our lawsuit is about the fact that the 14th Amendment and the Constitution says what it says, which is that if you are born in the United States of America, you are a citizen of the United States of America. And you know, no president, regardless of political party, has the ability with the stroke of a pen to rewrite the United States Constitution. So that's what it's about. I mean, you read the text in the language of the Constitution, and case law, Mike, for 150 years, and it has been upheld. And I think it's important also to remember this dates back to slavery, right? The 14th Amendment and the Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment overrode Dred Scott, right? Which said that African Americans, former slaves, and their children couldn't be and weren't citizens. So the 14th Amendment was passed. Everyone born in the United States is a citizen, and it's as simple as that. Also,
but let me just ask the question, because again, the layman's interpretation, because the way it's written, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, but it also then says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And I think that's where the question is, that if somebody is here visiting and has a child, and they're a citizen of another country and they have no intention of living in the United States, that child's not an American citizen. That child is a citizen of the nation where their family is from. Am I right? Am I wrong about that?
No, you're wrong about that. If the child was born in the United States, the Constitution and the way it's been interpreted for the last 150 years is that person is born in the United States. I'll give you an example. The guy that ran against me for Attorney General, Abe Hamaday, both of his parents were not in the United States lawfully. He would not. He would, if Trump's interpretation is approved, is upheld, he would not be a citizen. He is a citizen of the United States, as is everyone else who is born on our soil. That's what that language means.
So according to American law, is it that if an American couple travels outside of the country and their child is not born in the United States, are they not a United States citizen?
If the U.S. No, I believe if they're citizens, they are.
Okay.
Yes, the child. Yes.
If the parents are citizens, even if they're born in another country, they're still American citizens.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the reason why I'm asking this, and I'm not trying to be.
And by the way, that's subject to the jurisdiction. I would say to President Trump and all of his folks, what are you saying? Are you saying that everyone who is born in the or who is unlawfully here is not subject to our jurisdiction? Does that mean I can't go out and prosecute the Mexican drug cartels because these people are not subject to our jurisdiction? This has huge and terrible ramifications for law enforcement as well, Mike.
I think we all know what they're trying to say is, we know that there is such a thing as, and I don't know how much it happens, but the birth tourism, where people come here to have their babies on American soil, therefore the family stays because the child stays, and they're trying to get clarification on, are you here to live here or are you here for this purpose? That's what I believe this is about.
Well, I mean, look, if they want to do that, I mean, you're talking about, I understand on the far right, that's the thing that they want to prevent, I guess, certain people from having citizenship, but there's a way to go about doing that. It's called amending the Constitution, Mike.
But see, that's the second part of this.
Right?
One is you don't agree with the opinion. The other is you don't agree with his ability to do it without
Correct.
changing, without amending the Constitution.
Yeah, because if you allow him to do this, what else are you going to allow him or any other president to do? I mean, like, let's switch out Joe Biden with Donald Trump. Are folks going to be okay with Joe Biden amending the Constitution with an executive order? I mean, come on, it's absurd. Would you be okay with Joe Biden or Barack Obama or Kris Mayes, if she's president of the United States someday, deciding that the First Amendment or the Second Amendment is no longer effective?
No, but I'm glad you brought that up, because this is exactly what the process is all about. That the president makes a move with an executive order, and it's happened to Barack Obama, it's happened to Joe Biden, where then there is pushback and lawsuits on the
Right.
other side, and this is where the separation of powers comes in.
Right.
You're going to bring your case to court, a federal judge is going to decide, and it may get to the Supreme Court
Yeah.
for ultimate clarification. So in that sense...
And it probably will.
Right, I agree. And I think that this is where, in my opinion, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That you and I don't agree on everything, but we have a good rapport because we respect each other's opinions. And I think that's where the Supreme Court stands, is you disagree with the president, he adamantly disagrees with you, but in the end, the court will listen to both sides and render a decision.
Yeah, obviously I disagree with President Trump's decision to do this. I think it's an enormous waste of resources, but absolutely, at the end of the day, this will almost certainly end up at the United States Supreme Court. Mike, I don't think it's a close call at all. I just don't think it's a close call.
But then would you be satisfied? And I understand what you're... I don't agree with you that it's a waste of resources, because if we get to a final answer,
sure, then
if we get to case law in the Supreme Court and this is put to bed, it may be worthwhile for the future of the country, whichever way it falls.
I'll go with you on that. I mean, I see that viewpoint for sure.
So I want you to hear this. The Tom Homan, the border czar, was talking about... You made comments yesterday about separation of families in concentration camps. And he made a comment. He was asked about this. They played a clip from your presser yesterday. And he said that you have no say in this. I want you to hear what and I would love to get your response.
Okay. Look, I find it strange that the Attorney General from Arizona makes such statements, because there was a lawsuit in Arizona a few years ago. The Show Me Your Papers a lawsuit in highest courts in the land that said immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility. Federal responsibility. She has no say in the matter.
So how do you? We all know that it is federal responsibility, but where do you think he is? Why do you believe he believes you have no say in this?
I don't know, because it's insane. I mean, as the top law enforcement officer of the state of Arizona, I absolutely have a say in upholding the Constitution, in making sure that anything that happens on Arizona soil is constitutional. There's been litigation over family separation in the past, and the Trump administration lost that litigation. There's a settlement agreement that they have to follow. We as AGs, we can enforce that. And I would also add, it's really strange, given that Lake and Riley just passed and gave every attorney general in this country the ability to sue the federal government over immigration and border-related issues. And I would also add, Mike, that I will be holding Homan and Donald Trump accountable for what they failed to do on border-related issues, including getting our fentanyl crisis under control. If they really wanted to do something about the border, they would have, on day one, signed an executive order commanding the DEA to send 3 times as many agents to the state of Arizona, which I've been calling for as Attorney General for 2 years now. So I would say, where have you been, Donald Trump?
So, okay, we need to stop there for the next segment because that leads me to the conversation about what is acceptable in your mind as border-related enforcement issues. So we're going to get to that coming up in just a moment. The Attorney General is joining me for just another segment of the show. I want to say a big thank you to everybody listening, especially if you're out in Tolleson. If you're in Tolleson, we thank you for checking us out. We've got one more segment with the Attorney General. We'll do that in just a moment. Sanderson Ford, let's talk about their service department. For 70 years, Don Sanderson started this dealership 70 years ago and said, we are going to be the dealership that service builds. Number one in overall customer satisfaction. Arizona's largest Ford dealer. Huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. We all know that's true. But their service department is also one of the largest in the entire country. They have customers that drive from all over the valley. They got the best factory-trained technicians. They've got the most Ford master technicians anywhere in the country. They're open 6 days a week. The only day they're closed is Sunday. They open at 7 a.m. every day, and you have an opportunity to have your vehicle serviced by the best with the best customer service in the entire industry. When you're ready to have your vehicle serviced, you can even go to their quick lane to have an oil change without an appointment, but you can find them at 51st Avenue in Maryland out in the West Valley. It's the midpoint street between Bethany Home and Glendale, or you can go online to make an appointment as well. Check them out online at sandersonford.com.
There's a new voice you're hearing weekday mornings.
Did you get to meet Jim Sharp before you took the job?
Yes.
You did?
And I still took the job.
Right.
LaDonna Harvey joins Jim Sharp for Arizona's Morning News. Weekday mornings 5 to 8.
I am really excited to show you what we at KTAR can do to keep you informed while you're driving to work and taking your kids to school.
Start your morning with LaDonna Harvey and Arizona's Morning News. Weekday mornings 5 to 8. KTAR News 92.3 and the KTAR News app.
At the Midwestern University Eye Institute, we take the time to get to know you. Our student and faculty providers offer affordable, unrushed, and thorough vision care. We invite you to experience the Midwestern difference for your family's vision care, including adult and pediatric eye exams, designer eyewear, dry eye care, and ophthalmology services. Located in Glendale, just off the 101 near 59th and Utopia, visit MWUclinics.com to learn more. Midwestern University Clinics, your family's home for healthcare.
This year, give your home a fresh start with Arizona Painting Company. For a limited time, get 25% off your entire purchase when you mention Gatos and book before January 31st. Transform your space with Arizona's trusted painting experts known for quality and exceptional service. Text PAINT to 620-620 now to take advantage of their best discount yet, 25% off. But hurry, this offer ends January 31st. Arizona Painting Company, a fresh home and year starts here.
Message and data rates may apply. KTAR News Flash.
I'm Patricia Valencia, and this is what you need to know right now. Arizona's Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against President Donald Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. Mayes also voiced extreme displeasure denouncing the pardons of those convicted for the January 6 riots. More with AG Kris Mayes in studio with the Mike Broomhead Show coming up. Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Horn touched on several initiatives his office is undertaking to improve state public schools in his State of Education speech. He discussed focusing on English language immersion and getting more officers in schools. People on the Gulf Coast are digging out after a winter storm set an all-time record. Beaches blanketed in snow, Louisiana sending out its first ever blizzard warnings, and New Orleans shattering its one-day snowfall record with more than 8 inches. All of our top stories are just 15 minutes away. For more news, go to KTAR.com or the KTAR News app.
Protecting your estate with a living trust is one of the most important things you can do for the people you love. If one of your New Year's resolutions is to protect what matters most, act now and save 65% on a living trust with RJP Estate Planning. This could ensure your assets are passed on exactly as you intended. Because without a living trust, your home, your bank accounts, and your investments could end up in Arizona probate court when you pass away. This could take years and cost tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Even with a will, your estate could still face probate. To avoid this, call RJP Estate Planning now and save 65% on a living trust.
Save 65% on a living trust if you're 60 or over. Call 480-896-9597. That's 480-896-9597. Call by January 22nd. 480-896-9597.
Progressive knows we all crave validation.
Girl, you are not 37.
I would have guessed 27.
You guys are too sweet.
Sure, dewy skin. Terrific.
Is something wrong, Ned?
Why would you ask? Just because today marks my 10th anniversary without a car accident or even a speeding ticket? But somehow, tonight's all about your skincare. Wow.
With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Welcome to Staples.
I am so pumped. My business is going to kill it this year.
Awesome. How can I help?
First, a new computer.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you save big on tech.
And new posters.
Save on custom printing, too.
And,
a new chair?
A chair? Who has time to sit?
Maybe all your new clients?
Now you're talking.
With Staples Home and Office Hot Deals, you'll find huge savings on custom prints, storage, chairs, and tech. And now save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1.
Strong values and strong opinions. The Mike Broomhead Show. KTAR News, 92.3 FM, and the KTAR News app.
All right, we have one more segment with the Attorney General, Kris Mayes. And again, I thank you for all this time.
You bet, Mike. It's great. Thank you.
I want to talk about areas where it's not black and white, where there's the nuance part of it. What I mean by that is I can't imagine that you would be in favor of protecting criminal aliens that are in this country, the people in the country illegally that are committing crimes, that you wouldn't help the federal government make sure those criminals are deported.
Absolutely, I would. I mean, I'm the top law enforcement officer of the state of Arizona, and I think I absolutely support deporting certainly criminals, violent criminals. That is what the president ought to be focused on. Actually, I think there are other things he ought to be focused on with regard to the border. He ought to immediately triple the number of DEA agents and Border Patrol agents that we have here in Arizona. As you know, more than 50% of all the fentanyl seized in the United States in the last 2 years was seized in Arizona.
But
those are the concrete things that he could do now.
But isn't that part of the plan, is to have more Border Patrol agents, more ICE agents? But it takes time to train them. It wouldn't matter who the president was. That takes time to train them up. The use of troops at the border in an administrative role to free up the active ICE and Border Patrol agents, I think is a way that's going to help do what you want done with fentanyl and the trafficking, where you're going to have that. I think that's going to help.
Yeah, so I presumably, we'll take them at their word that their plan is to triple the number of Border Patrol agents and bring more DEA agents to Arizona. What I'm saying is I am going to hold their feet to the fire in the same way that I did with the Biden administration. I was critical of the Biden administration on that. Mike, do you know that there are three times the number of DEA agents in New York and Florida states than Arizona?
Well, I do know that because I grew up in Florida, so
okay,
I do know that.
So that is not something we have to wait for. That's not something Donald Trump has to wait for. And I would say again, why on day one did he not sign an executive order taking DEA agents from other parts of the country and bringing them down to the border and help me prosecute the Mexican drug cartels, which my office does? That's where those prosecutions happen.
And to be fair, to go back to your statement, just to be fair, you were critical of the Biden administration, but you didn't sue the Biden administration.
No, but I couldn't sue the Biden administration until, and now I can sue the Trump administration under Lake and Riley, because they gave me, as the Attorney General of Arizona, the authority to do that. So what I'm saying is I am going to hold this administration, their feet to the fire, to bring the resources that our law enforcement... Look, when you ask sheriffs, border sheriffs, what they need, they don't talk about setting up concentration camps. They don't talk about wanting even the military on the border, Mike. What they talk about is bring us more Border Patrol agents, bring us more DEA agents, and bring us more resources because we're the ones dealing with those crises.
So clarify for me the statement of why you call them concentration camps.
Well,
because you've done it a couple of times.
Look, okay, maybe it's a little bit over the top, but it, when you look back at what happened during the first Trump administration with family separations. Again,
it was happening with the Obama administration. I was in McAllen, Texas. And I saw it.
Yeah,
I saw kids in cages. I saw it happen under that administration.
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it's appropriate under any administration.
Okay,
and
that's fair.
I really don't. And I don't think Arizonans want to see that. They don't want to see that happen. They don't think it's humane. They think it's cruel to separate kids from their parents. And it's not necessary.
But
it's
doesn't
not what we need. And Mike, it's one of the reasons I left the Republican Party.
But isn't it also a question? I'm sorry to keep interrupting you.
That's okay.
It's the 14th Amendment part of this is that if there are adults using their children as an excuse to be in this country illegally, how do we stop that from happening?
Well, if you want to change that provision of the Constitution, then, gather a constitutional convention. You have to do it the right way. I mean, I don't personally think that that's what Americans want to do. I think it's important to remember the chaos that this would cause, Mike. I mean, when children are born in Arizona hospitals, are we now saying the hospitals have to determine the citizenship of both parents? I mean, think about it when your kids were born. I think about when my daughter was born. I mean, my God. I mean, how now I have to go and my daughter's father has to go. We have to prove their citizenship. The hospital has to do that. Arizona's going to lose $200 million as a result of that action by Donald Trump.
But to be fair, the chaos that's been caused and the expense at the Yuma Regional Medical Center with what's happened in the past 4 years and the complete opposite end of the spectrum in immigration.
Mike, not to interrupt you. But look, I agree. And why did then Donald Trump tank the bipartisan border bill that would have staunched some of that and prevented some of that chaos? I mean, that's one of the things that I would sue the federal government over, which is the cost to our hospitals that the border situation caused, the cost to our law enforcement, the cost to treatment centers in Arizona that have had to deal with the fentanyl crisis and the overdoses. So, why did he do that, Mike? We spent a year where we didn't have a border solution because Donald Trump told Republicans they should tank the bipartisan border bill, which was conservative and was promoted and supported by both parties.
It was on a smaller scale, and my opinion on that is I believe that the changes that would have been made in the bill in the Senate to get Republicans to vote for it would have driven some Democrats away, and it wouldn't have passed anyway. That's just my opinion. I got to get one more question in because I know you have to be somewhere, and I'm running out of time.
Okay.
This is the headline. Trump signs death penalty order directing the AG, the Department of Justice, to help states get lethal injection drugs. How do you feel about this move? Is that helpful to you?
We don't really need it. I think I don't have any problem with it at all. But we don't need it. We have procured the drugs necessary to carry out the execution that we think is probably going to go forward on around March 18th of Aaron Gunch's. So we're prepared. The Department of Corrections is prepared, and we're ready to go to restart the execution protocols.
I appreciate the time this morning. I know it's not the end of the conversation, and I would love to do this on a more regular basis because I think the debate is exactly what we should be having.
I love it. Thanks for having me.
All right, it's the Attorney General Kris Mayes spending just a few moments with us. We've got Andy Biggs talking to us about his gubernatorial race coming up here in just one moment. Sweet James accident attorneys, let's talk about them very quickly. Listen, being hurt in an accident, you are going to need an attorney. And the reason why you need an attorney is because the insurance company's attorneys get involved right away. You may not reach out to them. You may not be looking to sue someone, but the attorneys for the insurance companies will be reaching out to you.